Hi, welcome along to AFTV. It's a real welcome back because I'm back from Qatar from the World Cup and it's great to be in the studio. And also it's a welcome back to my brother, Laurie, back for the first time since you wasn't doing too well.
Yeah.
Was sick in hospital, but it's great to have you back, man. You know what I mean? Great for you to be back in the studio, looking well, looking ready.
Yeah, listen, man, thank you so much. And shout out to everybody, all my people who wished me well while I was away. As you hinted at, I took a little sick back in early November. Ended up having an operation on my stomach to remove an appendix. And then there's a few complications after. Got very sick, but now I'm good, man. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great to have you back, man. And you're right. You know what I mean? Whilst you was away, man, everybody was praying for you, sending you wishes and stuff like
means
that.
A lot.
So,
means a lot.
Yeah, it was great. And you got to stay at home and watch the World Cup every day.
I did, yeah. But you know what? before I do that, this is something that I thought I've got to say, that many times on these streams, we've seen Ty say things like, thanks for the NHS and blah, blah, blah. And people have kind of ridiculed him. Even me at times, I'm like, why have you always got to keep saying that? But you know what? Following my experience, I mean, it shouldn't have to take that for me to say this, but... Yeah. You know what? Fair play to him, man. He's got it spot on. The NHS, the nurses and the doctors, they looked after me. Shout out to them.
Did you see that video he did?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
He said at the end, he goes, he said to all the NHS and all the doctors and nurses that looked after you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, man. Big up Ty, man.
And I'll tell you what as well, a lot of the doctors in there, Dr. Uchi, there's loads of them. They are, even they're not all Arsenal fans, but they are fans of AFTV.
There was a lot of them that I met there. There were nurses and that. They were all Arsenal fans. Yeah. Right. And I was saying to them, they're going, love AFTV, big Arsenal fans. I said, all right, look after my brother then. And then make sure it comes out in one piece.
Yeah, because the hospital's like banging Tottenham territory.
Right into like literally just around the corner from Tottenham.
Yeah, but it was interesting. A lot of the nurses and doctors, it was split.
Yeah.
And even though they weren't all Arsenal fans, they were literally all fans, or they'd all seen AFTV content. Yeah. So shout out to you, man. Yeah.
Well, listen, great to have you back, man. Great to have you. Also, got a big up to a friend of mine who's in the studio at the moment, Fani. He's over here from Qatar, right? He says he's enjoying the cold weather. I'm not sure if he's telling the truth or not, but he's funny enough. Like everybody I met in Qatar, they were like, I like the weather in England. I was like, you lot mad. I mean, this weather.
Hey, funny, I tell you, a couple of weeks ago, man, it was serious out here, man. I got caught in the snowstorm, and seriously.
But it was minus 10.
It was. I've never seen it as bad in London. But the snow was absolutely woeful, terrible. 23. Yeah.
Freezing.
And then we had days where it just iced over. So, you know what I mean? Yeah. People were snowbound for about 2 or 3 days. But,
and I enjoyed the weather over there in Qatar, and I enjoyed it great. A really, really good World Cup. It was fantastic. And now it's back, and then now it's down to business. Arsenal this week, Boxing Day, we are back. First game up, West Ham United at home. Now, interestingly, just before we came on air, right, we were talking about Arsenal played a behind closed doors friendly today, right? I don't know if a lot of people are aware about that. They played this game against Luton Town. The game ended 0-0. So that's 2 games in a row where we've played a friendly and we haven't scored, which is a little bit worrying. But if you, I was looking at Arsenal's website and they were saying that, Arsenal looked like they played well, lots of pattern of play and stuff like that. And if you look at the team that Arsenal put out for this friendly today, and I'm going to run through it, is a very strong team. I mean, literally more or less could be the starting lineup, bar a couple of players for when we play West Ham. They had Ramsdale in goal, who was later replaced by Matt Turner. Ben White played, Holding, Gabriel and Cedric. Thomas Partey played, Granit Xhaka, Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli played, and Eddie Nketiah.
No, it makes sense.
So that's a strong team.
Played a strong side.
Yeah. The subs that came on were Turner, as I said, Sousa, Varane, Lokonga came on. Kozia Dewberry played really well against Juventus, and Serjan, and also Marquinhos, who apparently played well as well. So, but that's a strong team out there. 0-0. After the first couple of friendlies where we did well, The last couple of friendlies, man, a little underwhelming. I mean, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, because sometimes you get too carried away with friendlies. But that's 4 friendlies we've played now, and then now it's down to the big thing come this week. I mean,
although incidentally, at the start of the season, we'd had a series of friendlies and we did really well, scoring lots of goals. And everybody said that momentum carried into the start of the season.
Yeah.
So let's hope that this little mini goal drought is not a symptom of things to come.
Yeah, well, listen, I want to ask a question today. I want to ask a question to you guys out there. Love to hear your comments coming in. And listen, there's loads of comments coming in saying that they're glad to see you back, Laurie.
Thank you.
Up to TT says good to see Laurie back.
Appreciate it.
And as he's echoing what a load of people are saying. But I've got another question for you guys out there. And I was asked this a lot in Qatar. I'll tell you, there's so many Arsenal fans over there at the World Cup from all over the Middle East, right? And a common question I kept getting asked was, do you still think we can win the Premier League? Do you think we can win the Premier League? And I'd always sort of answer it by saying, well, listen, we've got a great chance to win the Premier League because we're in a great position. But I must admit, man...
Let me ask you a supplementary to that. Did you, and be honest now, did you think we could win before this break and the news of Jesus? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And now I'm a little bit worried because of this Jesus injury. I have to admit, because it's not so much the goals, it's the fact that this guy's been so integral to everything good that Arsenal have been doing this season. And now he's out, and he's going to be out for a while. I mean, they still haven't said how long, but we know what it's like when you get a knee injury. You can't rush back a knee injury, you make it even worse.
Well, they're talking 2 to 3 months, and then you got to remember that it's not just the 2 to 3 months, is it? It's that when he comes back in, it's going to take him a while to hit the floor running, as they say. So,
are you worried about it?
I am worried. You know, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I was in hospital when I heard the news, and I was like, nah, man, surely this can't be true, you know. And obviously, I've had a lot of time to think about it, and like you said, his contribution. I mean, let's be honest, man. Gabriel Jesus is not your prolific striker who's getting a goal every game or every other game, and the goals for him had kind of semi-dried up before the injury. But then, like you quite rightly said, it's the contribution that he brings, and just, you know what I mean, the sheer aura around him was to our benefit, and we're going to lose a lot of that. So yes, I am worried. I'm not going to lie. I'm concerned. Yeah. And then you've seen the last couple of games you've not been able to score. A lot of pressure on Eddie Nketiah, which I'm hoping that he can rise to the occasion. But yeah, I've got to say, man, I'm worried.
Yeah, well, I want to hear from you guys. Can Arsenal still win the league? I'm going to set out some things that I think will help us, right, especially in our time of need. But can Arsenal still win the league? S-Fam says we need to sign a striker, a winger, and a central midfielder. That's a lot of players to sign in January, but that's what he's saying. Good to see Laurie back.
Thanks, bro.
And that's from Dave Jordan. Leulo says, let's be serious. It was a friendly. He's talking about the game today. Listen, I don't like to get carried away with friendlies either way. We beat Luton 8-0 today. I wouldn't be carried away.
Yeah.
Drawing 0-0, I'm not carried away, but I would have liked to have seen a 1 or 2-0 just to get, with Eddie maybe scoring.
As I said a little while ago, you know what I mean, we went into this season with some great momentum off the back of those very same types of friendlies.
We were winning the friendlies.
Well, this is what I'm saying, and we were scoring goals for fun, and everybody was saying that was one of the catalysts for our great start. So
yeah.
Obviously, we're hoping that, listen, don't get me wrong, the friendlies are important. The fact that we haven't scored, we're hoping is not going to be too much of an issue.
Yeah, Vedran says Arsenal are in the driver's seat, just need a striker. DJ Ashby says, big up Laurie and Robbie. Fantastic seeing Laurie back. Rene Gordon Soccer says the Jesus injury is a big hit. He's the key to us creating chances. Very true. He does. It's not just the goals he scores, it's the havoc he creates around him that frees up space to allow other players to score goals, and he does, man. He's integral.
I'm just thinking as well, I'm thinking out loud here, like what's happened, although it's unfortunate, this could be the period at Arsenal that either makes or breaks Eddie, really, doesn't it? Because if he can step up and score those important goals, then this will be the making of him. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah, let's talk about it, Eddie.
Yeah.
Right now, remember when he came in last season? Right, he'd had to wait a lot of the season to get his chance. I remember seeing him at the game. I think we played Everton, and I was like, I'm not too sure about Eddie, man. And then he came in towards the end. Remember that game against Chelsea?
Yeah,
came in, and from then till the end of the season, he played well. Was it 5 goals he scored between then and the end of the season? He's got to step up. This is his moment. He has to step in with goals.
I don't know if you remember, well, I'm sure you do, last season, towards the end of last season, when Eddie gave an interview, didn't he? And in that interview, he'd expressed his disappointment that he'd not been given more starts. And he'd said, openly, listen, man, I believe in myself, and I think if I get the starts, I can get the goals. And there was quite a lot of Arsenal fans, man, that came after him for that. And I was one of those fans that was like, hey, you know what? I like the tone of his message. He seems to back himself. The confidence is there. And I was saying, so I was like, I'd love to see him where he does get more starts. Now, obviously, Jesus coming in, the starts are always going to be limited. But as I said, as I alluded to earlier, this is his opportunity now to show everybody at Arsenal that he has what it takes to be a top striker at Arsenal.
And he's going to have to hit the ground running. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I even saw the friend that he played against Juventus the other day. He missed an absolute sitter in the game. And these sort of things, right, like, are going to get highlighted. They're going to get highlighted.
They will.
He has to. I'm desperate for him when he plays against West Ham at the weekend. I'm desperate for him to score because I do think he's a bit of a confidence player.
Yeah. Well, most strikers are.
Yeah. And he's gonna need to. I really do think he needs to.
Because dare I say it, even Gabriel Jesus, to me, it was quite evident that his confidence in front of goal was not at the same level as it was at the start of the season. I think that's fair to say. And listen, don't get at me. I'm not admonishing Gabriel Jesus. He brings a hell of a lot to the table, but we do also have to be honest and say that the last 3, 4, 5 games prior to the World Cup thing, he hadn't been scoring, and there was a couple of chances he missed. You think to yourself, you know what, if that was early in the season, he probably would have scored that. So,
well, Eddie's going to have to put those away. Vedran says, extremely worried. Eddie Nketiah, that's a bit harsh. He says Eddie Nketiah is rubbish.
Nah, that's
we
not
need
true
a proper striker in January. He's not rubbish. Come on, Eddie, Vedran, man. That's very, very harsh. Dope Demeanor says the January window might open, but Arsenal, it will take us to February until we get anything through the door. Ends our chances of winning anything. Those transfers need to be done and dusted in the first week. He makes a good point, because we've been linked with a load of players, right? I've been linked with the one that we seem to be getting linked with the most is the Mudryk one. Mikhailo Mudryk of Shakhtar Donetsk won't be cheap, but apparently he's desperate to come to Arsenal. Even some of the top the top guys at Shakhtar have admitted that Arsenal have been in contact with them. This one could happen, but if it does, we've got to get it done early.
But is he an out-and-out striker?
He's not a striker. No, he's a winger.
See, this is the thing. It's
the winger.
If he's an Mbappe type winger striker, then we're all right.
Well, I was about to say, right, does it have to be an out-and-out striker?
Not necessarily.
If you look at a lot of teams now, and I was talking about this the other day, a lot of teams play with almost like 3 forward. Even us, right, even with Jesus. Jay's not an out-and-out striker. No. He's not a number 9, is he? He's like, I wouldn't say he's a traditional number 9. We kind of play with forward players that score goals. Right? And there's not many teams got an out-and-out striker. I mean,
look at the World Cup.
City have got that in Haaland. They got an out-and-out striker. But
look at the World Cup. Most of the teams didn't. Argentina didn't. France didn't. Giroud did well, and he's through the middle.
Giroud's out.
But their best player, Mbappe, was coming off the wings.
Yeah.
So
and Mudryk has looked really good. When you saw him in the Champions League this season, he's looked very, very good. But he's going to have to hit the ground again. Come in January into a new league, and we'll be expecting him to hit the ground running.
Well, the way I see it is this, Robbie. Yeah? So it's one of 3 scenarios. Either Eddie does what we all hope he will do, assume the responsibility, go on, score lots of goals, to the point where people like me and say, wow, the man stepped up, we've not even missed Jesus, yeah? B, it's going to be to buy our way out of trouble, try and identify the type of player we need, and it does bits. Or third, which, you know, I think is reasonable to assume, is that the goals are shared around the team. So it's not just Eddie, but it's the likes of Odegaard, Martinelli.
Which we kind of been doing, isn't
Yeah,
it?
exactly.
We kind of been sharing them around, but I still feel...
And to be fair, I think that last scenario is probably more realistic of the three.
Sharing it around.
So
Mudryk would be, for you, would be a good sign.
Of course, yeah.
Wayne Sage says, didn't Arsenal walk all over Lyon 3-0 and AC Milan 2-1 in the friendlies without Jesus? So let's not get carried away. These two, with these two friendlies, he's not worried. That is true. It was impressive against Lyon.
I think it's okay to be worried, but at the same time, it's also, like I said, we should approach it with a degree of optimism, because like I said, the stage is set for Eddie. I don't want to put too much pressure on him, but he's backed himself.
On him.
I am.
But he
backed himself.
Pressure's going to be on him.
Yeah, but he backed himself.
Pressure is going to be on Eddie, whether he likes it or not. When he steps, listen, this is what the pressure's going to be. We've followed Arsenal for so long, we know already. If he don't score against West Ham and say we didn't get a result, he'll have a hell of a lot of pressure on him. That's why I really want him to get on that score sheet, because it's going to be very important. But even if he's scoring, I still think we need to spend.
You know what I don't want to see? You know what I don't want to see, and I'm sincerely hoping that this doesn't happen. If, as we expect, Eddie assumes that centre forward position and he gets a lot of game times, but he doesn't quite get the goals, and we don't quite get over the line in terms of winning the league, I hope people don't just start blaming him for that. Because I'm going to be honest and say, whilst I was enjoying us topping the league, it is a long season. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And I was one of those that I said, listen, we can do it, but it doesn't mean to say because we're top at Christmas that we will do it.
Ones now,
No, I'm just keeping it 100, man. This is what I said before.
This is where I am, yeah? I want to win the league this season.
Yeah, of course you do.
We're in a great position to win the league.
But are we favourites? Given the strength of Man City?
We're not the favourites because Man City's strength, but we're in a great position. I don't want us to mess this up. In January, we got to go out and make a couple of signings, and we got to, I agree with what that guy says, do them early. Early, whether it be loans or whatever, but we can't, even if Eddie, my opinion is this, right? Even if Eddie does brilliantly, we still need more.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because what if Eddie gets injured? Then who's going to come in for him?
Good point.
Where's the goals going to, you know what I mean? There's no, if Eddie's playing against West Ham and it's not going well for him, who comes on for Eddie?
And you've got to remember,
that's the other thing that worries me.
It's important
who are we going to call off the bench and say, right, come and score a goal for us?
It's important to also remember that when it comes to strikers, they're worth their weight in gold, and everyone's in the market for a top striker. And there's quite a few clubs out there. Two come to mind straight away: Newcastle, Man City, and people like that, who've got more money to spend than we have.
But they've got more strikers than us as well.
Exactly.
I was looking at Newcastle yesterday. Newcastle are without Isaac, remember? Right, but they still, they've got Callum Wilson. They've got a lot of firepower.
And I'm a big fan of Callum.
Right, they've got a lot of firepower. We're going to have to go out there and spend. We really are. Getting into this, there's so many comments coming in, so thank you very much for that. Wayne Morgan says, strengthen up front and the title is ours. Can Pepe not play as a striker, says Nick. Well, Pepe, I don't think we're going to bring him back off loan. I don't know, he can't. Not from
I don't see Pepe coming back.
Spacetime 101 says, ha 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 ha. He says, Nketiah isn't even playing for England. He said, we need a prolific worldwide names at Arsenal, not people who should be on loan. Right? Remember?
Just talking on that for a minute about the World Cup. I wonder, he probably would never admit it out loud, if Eddie Nketiah, he was approached to play for Ghana. In light of what's happened now, do you think he's maybe...
He should have went to
Ghana and at least had that World Cup experience, and coming back into the Premier League now, that would have given him a huge boost, I would have thought.
Yeah. John Bamford, who, trying to see, is he a Chelsea fan? But he goes, Arsenal won't even finish in the top four, Robbie. This part of the season was misleading for a number of reasons. Arteta is experienced and naive. But you can't say that. We've been playing great football up to this point, right? What's been misleading about it? We're at the top of the league because we've been the best team. There's nothing misleading about that. LL with a super chat says, what about a return for Giroud? Come on, you Gunners. No, man. No,
that ship sailed. I don't see Giroud.
We got to Bellima as well with a super chat. Vedran with another super chat. He says, we need to strengthen for a title push. 100%. Akar says, Laurie, nice to see you.
Thanks, bro.
Mark Murray says, we should be more concerned with making top 4, if not replacing Arteta.
You see, this with respect, that is the type of knee-jerk reaction that we don't want to see. So what I don't want to see is that if result doesn't go away, for example, against West Ham, I don't want everybody just starting to go in on the manager, go in on Eddie, go in on the team. This is important now. So. It's important now that the fans. I mean, they've been brilliant.
Fans got to be right behind the team, right?
They've been brilliant all season, but now this is when they've really got to make their presence felt.
Bad Boy says Martinelli is wasted on the wing. By the time he gets to the end of the pitch, you can't score from the angle. Play him down the middle. He's our best finisher. Well, you say can't score from the angle. We did see a certain Mbappe scoring from them angles. Yeah, but you know what? There is a shout for that. Martinelli down the middle, maybe.
Hey, I've got a shout for you.
What?
Striker is available, high profile, great record in front of goal. Done it in the Premier League, done it all over the world. Ronaldo, what are you saying?
No, man, no.
Would you take Ronaldo?
No.
If only for the end of the season. No, I'm just throwing it out there. I'm thinking out loud, bro. He's available. He's got a point to prove, I would have thought.
No.
Could this be his redemption? I mean, everyone now is saying, the argument between him and Messi's done, blah, blah, blah.
It is.
Okay, but this might be that motivation that he needs to write his name back up there.
And he'd come and he'd ruin the team. Ronaldo would only be worth it as a signing for me if he was prepared to come off the bench and play, right? And he's already made it clear at Manchester United that he ain't coming off no bench. He feels it, even for Portugal. In the World Cup.
He didn't quite say that, did he?
In Portugal in the World Cup, when he got substituted off, you saw his attitude. That's for his country. For Manchester United, he didn't want to come off the bench. He felt that he should be starting. That is the last person we need in our dressing room right now.
Well, what do the people out there think? Let us know what you think.
Well, man. Let me hear from people. Would you take Ronaldo as a striker?
He's a striker. He's done it in the Premier League.
You could argue that he would score more goals than Eddie. But I don't know, man. Shref says, hey, Laurie, glad to see you back fit and fighting. Robbie, lots of our kids didn't play. I want them firing against West Ham and sell bums like Pepe and Eddie. Jeez, you guys are going
come on, man.
I miss you guys, man. You're back.
Come on.
Right?
Like I said, this is Eddie's chance to prove once and for all that he's got what it takes.
Bring Balogun back. I think we could do that, and Balogun's actually been scoring a lot of goals over there in France, and I think we could cut short his loan deal and bring him back. And if we're not going to get a striker, don't that make sense?
About João Felix?
Well, listen, let's talk about this. Two strikers. We keep hearing João Felix mentioned.
I like the look of him, man.
It's a lot of money. Are Arsenal going to shelve out like £80 million in the January transfer window? That would be basically doing their budget for the summer for João Felix.
But if the title's in kind of touching distance, it could be money well spent, an investment even.
Here's another one, Dusan Vlahovic. Now,
I get the impression that ship sailed as well.
No, also, exclusive.
Enlighten me.
It's an exclusive, yeah? I was chatting to somebody from who's knows people that are close to the Serbian national team when I was over there in Qatar, yeah? He's in football and he knows people, and he said to me that Arsenal have been talking, somebody in the Serbian national team said Arsenal have been talking to Vlahovic and trying to explore the possibility of a deal like that getting done.
While they're over there, they should have been speaking to Mitrovic as well.
Is that El Nesri? Farney showed me a picture of El Nesri. Like, no, he weren't clinical enough for me, El Nesri, man. But we get back to him. But the Vlahovic one. Now, why not? Juventus at the moment are in a lot of financial trouble, right? You saw the other day, half of their board walked out. They're in a lot of financial trouble right now. I know they've only just bought Vlahovic. He hasn't really done it since he's gone there. Could Arsenal go maybe make an effort, try and sign him? I mean,
I don't know. Listen, it's not beyond the realms of possibility.
He's an out striker.
However, I would say, and I'm sure you heard the same stuff as I heard, is that when that supposed move to Arsenal fell through, the talk coming out of Vlahovic's camp, I certainly remember his agent saying that he was never really interested in coming to Arsenal in the first place.
Saying because he signed for Juventus at that time, he's trying to look good in front of Juventus. But supposing...
But what if it's true?
All right, but supposing now... All right, look, I'll give you an example of a similarity, right? Even though it didn't really cost them nothing, was the Aubameyang going to Barcelona. Went to Barcelona, was actually doing well there, scoring goals. But when the option came up where they could sell him, because they'd already had Lewandowski, and they knew that they could, make some money, and they're in a hard situation financially, they sold him to Chelsea.
No, but with respect, this is slightly different, because what I'm saying is the talk coming out of Vlahovic's camp, okay, mainly by his agent, was that he was on the record as saying, the agent, that Vlahovic was never really interested in a move to Arsenal.
I don't believe it. And
he's on the record as saying that, so can you trust him?
I'm saying to you now that I've had a little intel, right, that Vlahovic,
is he receptive?
That there's been conversations. That was all I got. Okay. I didn't get the whole, that's what I've been hearing. Now, to me, if there's a possibility of that, I'd be happy with that. I'd be happy with a Vlahovic coming in at Arsenal. We need I do think we need a striker.
Oh, definitely, yeah, we do.
Belima says better to have a player and not need them than not to need them and not have them. He says no Ronaldo though, and then he put Messi to go. So he wouldn't have Ronaldo. Laurie's asked a question. Eros asked,
I'm just asking the question.
Nice to see Laurie back. But Laurie's putting that question. Jack Burton says Pinaldo, who he calls him. Oh, sorry, I just lost that one. Oh, sorry, I lost that one. Scott's Brooksbank says, I don't want Vlahovic anywhere near Arsenal. He never wanted to come to begin with. We need to go and get Gakpo. Does it? Listen.
I do like the look of Gakpo, I must admit.
He didn't want to come to begin with because he wanted to go to Juventus. But so what? If we can get him now, I don't care.
But don't you like the look of Gakpo, though? Even before before the World Cup, we'd seen him playing for PSV.
He's not a wide player, though, isn't he?
He's not a striker,
but, Sean M says, I wouldn't say that Vlahovic is a top striker. Mohamed Salman says, if we need Vlahovic, if we sign Vlahovic, he ticks all the boxes. We desperately need a different type of striker. Kiyama says, Marcus Thuram or Kolo Muani. Muani, I think, no chance. Thuram, though, apparently is a player that could be available.
Yeah, I've seen in some quarters where people suggesting that Thuram.
Like the look of him, actually.
Yeah, I do Going back to the Eddie situation.
Says, the look you gave Laurie when after he suggested Ronaldo is the look that Xhaka gives Vlahovic when he signs for us after getting strangled at the World Cup. And Guile says, XRP with another super chat says, get Felix, man. Cha.
No, I like it.
Felix. Big up to FN as well with a super chat. Didn't actually put what you wanted to say, but thanks for that.
To go back to the Eddie situation, if you recall, it wasn't that long ago, about a year or so ago now, when the manager, I think it was after the Aubameyang thing went left, and the manager was quizzed by a load of journalists about bringing in strikers and that. And at the time, and I admit this was at the time, he said that he wasn't worried about, because he was asked about our striking options. And he said, and I remember him saying it, that he wasn't worried because he's got Eddie and he's confident that Eddie can perform at that level. So does the manager be true of his word and stick with Eddie?
Well, DJ Ashby says, in my opinion, Arsenal would not have offered Nketiah 100 bags a week. Balogun is still on loan. We've got Jesus to come back. I don't think we need to spend the funds for a number 9 striker. So is he basically then saying he has full faith in Eddie?
Well, this is what I was just alluding to when I asked the question about the manager, because he'd said he was on the record as saying that he wasn't worried about Arsenal striking options because he believes that Eddie can fill that void.
Abdullah says, Jesus wanting to give us many goals and assists. Sorry, Jesus wasn't giving us many goals and assists. His contribution was mainly intense pressing. Eddie and Emile give us that. We shouldn't panic. Well, Emile's not Smith Rowe, even when I'm reading that squad today, because I remember at the weekend, Mikel Arteta says he's going to be back into full training next week. But he weren't playing in that, was he? Emile Smith Rowe, not even off the bench. It's another one. I mean, I'm a bit worried about that. When will he come back?
I'll tell you one thing I would say.
Says Odin Pico.
I like Memphis Depay, good player.
Yeah, I mean,
ticks a lot, but I'll take him.
What about our friend Farney's in the studio? He was holding up a picture of El Nesri from Morocco.
Well, he looked good in the World Cup, I'll give him that. But I mean, I'm not sure if he's going to be prolific enough at this level. But to go back to, and I know I'll keep going back to it, but I do think is relevant, is that Eddie, people comparing Eddie and Jesus, I'm not sure if that comparison is totally valid because they're very different types of player. You get like Jesus, we all know what his strengths are, but Eddie's a different type of striker. He's more of a classic goal poacher. Now, for him to be that goal poacher, the play around him has to be able to feed him those opportunities. So Arsenal will probably have to adjust the way they play a little bit.
You not
think
Eddie will score 10 goals between now and the end of the season?
I think he's capable of doing that, yeah.
You think he will?
Given the service, I think he can do, yeah.
Right.
I'm backing him.
Cool.
Backing him. Yeah.
Vishal Nahar says, let's get Jamie Vardy.
He's a bit long in the tooth, man.
Yeah, he ain't done nothing this season. Mikel Amandala says Vlahovic will bring political problems at Arsenal once we've got Xhaka. He's still with his
Serbian and the
I don't think
Albanian.
Problem.
Yeah, I think Xhaka's way too professional for that.
Yeah. And Nketiah will not take the team to a league title, says Sean M.
Well, you know what, and this is what I alluded to earlier. I don't want people to just put that all on Eddie because it was by no means certain that we were going to win the title anyway. There's still a long, long way to go. Listen, we're hoping that Eddie can come in and make the right contribution and make the right impact that will carry us along on that wave to winning the title. But I'm just a little bit wary that people are going to start blaming him if we don't, and I think that would be very unfair.
John Bamford says Arsenal draw 0-0 with the Championship side. Tells you a lot. Spacetime 101 says we need some World Cup players in our team. Players from Croatia, Morocco, Netherlands, Argentina and France. Some great players there that were sublime. We need to catch on the future potential that's in them. I've heard a lot of there's that guy McAllister who's at Brighton. He's been mentioned a lot. Arsenal are interested in him. The thing is, right, is that they say be careful how you buy players out of World Cup tournaments and Euros and things like that. Remember El Hadj Diouf?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
How he killed it that time in the World Cup, and then
remember James Rodriguez. Remember him for
James Rodriguez is the classic one.
He's the classic one, isn't it? Yeah. Came in superstar, and then look, bombed thereafter.
Taron Chambers says, "Man like Laurie, we miss you, bro." Hashtag talk is cheap.
Talk is cheap back out this week, man. Make sure you check it out. Myself and Curtis will be chopping it up about various things, and I'm sure the Eddie thing is, because I know Curtis is a massive fan of Eddie. So yeah.
No, he's not, and you know. Eddie will score. Arteta will buy Mudryk and play him as a false nine, says Zach David.
So let me just ask you, because you brought it up, so I want to throw this back at you. So if Eddie gets 10 goals between now and the end of the season, is that 10 league goals you're talking about? Yeah. Would you be satisfied with that?
Oh yeah. If he gets 10 goals, between now and the end of the season, he's done brilliantly. That's the sort of form that could push us to winning the league. But I am slightly worried.
Worried or concerned?
Well, it's kind of the same thing, isn't it?
No, there's a nuance to it. There's a nuance to it.
What's the nuance, really? I mean, I'm both.
Concerned is like you're looking at the situation and, you're thinking,
I'm a bit concerned.
Worried is a bit more than that. Worried is a level up from.
We have been sharing around the goals. You are right, because if you look at it, Saka, Martinelli, Jesus, Odegaard, You know, we've had Partey scored. We've had a lot of goals from midfield as well, you know. Xhaka has been scoring. So the way in which we play, we have been sharing the goals around, but I still would like to have that one guy there that, you know, in a tight game.
You need the killer. You need the killer.
In
you
a
need
tight game, it's just that guy that just gets that.
Yeah.
That's what City have got at the moment with, you know, Haaland.
Yeah.
And that's what Liverpool have got with Salah. And I mean, these guys that, when anything going your way, they just, I'm not sure we've got that. That's the worry.
We don't have a striker or an attacker of the level of those guys you just mentioned. So Haaland and Salah, those are two world-class attackers. We don't have that, but we have a young up-and-coming guy that is literally begging for his opportunity. And you know what I mean? Like, sometimes if you give these guys that opportunity, they will produce. Sometimes, yeah. Not all the time.
DJ Ashby says, if I was in charge right now, I'd be approaching Zaha and getting him in the first week of January all day long.
Palace
It'll be an instant impact and can play down the middle as well. Now, Wilfried Zaha is in the last 6 months of his contract. His contract is up at the end of the season. He's 29 years of age now, but he's Premier League ready.
Definitely.
He'd hit the ground running.
Definitely.
He's a big threat to any team in the Premier League. He scores goals. I'm a fan. I'd go and get him.
No, you know what?
What would it cost? What if you went to Crystal Palace right now and you said to them, right, you know what, we'll give you 20 million.
I don't think they'd take that.
I think they would. This is good for a guy who's going to walk away for nothing.
I've heard their chairman say that Palace will never sell Zaha.
I mean, I know away. He's all right with him saying that, but come the end of the transfer window, right? Unless they get him to sign a new contract, Zaha walks away for nothing. Arsenal can offer him potential, you know, well, right now, Arsenal could offer him European football. He hasn't even played in Europe. So Arsenal could say to him, right, not only are you going to come and be part of our charge to try and win the league, but you play Europa League football as well, which he hasn't played. Potentially at the end of the season, you'll be playing Champions League football. Great chance of that. I mean, we could, and we've heard in the past that he's an Arsenal fan who'd like to. To me, I'd go and get Zaha. I think
the major obstacle to that being, and don't get me wrong, everything you said there makes sense, but I just don't see Steve Parish allowing that to happen.
But
I think the Palace fans would draw and quarter.
No, but why not? Because he's in the last.
Because of his importance, he's the absolute talisman for that Palace team. There's even a concern that if they were to sell him, it could be so detrimental to them that it could inspire a relegation battle. Let's be honest, because he's that much importance to that team. They would not want
to sell him, but I think if Arsenal applied enough pressure, he'd want to come.
He may want to come.
They're not going to want to play. You know what I mean? They're not going to want him to walk away and get not even a fee for him.
Listen, Zaha probably deep down he would never probably go on record and say, "Yeah, I think I would. Yeah, I would." But I just don't think Steve Parish would allow him to leave.
Braid says, "Guys, wake up! Eddie messes up the pattern of play because he does not drop deep. This is vital and needed in away games. For me, this is worrying."
Well, I said earlier that I think that Arsenal, if they are going to go with Eddie, certainly in the short term, they're going to have to adjust their style of play a little bit, because with Jesus in the team, he's a different type of striker to Eddie. So what you're going to need to do is supply more crosses, for example, and hope that Eddie can get on the end of it. Jesus operated more effectively. He can do his little bit through the middle and open teams up. With Eddie, it's a bit more direct. But to me, anyway, they do need to tinker with their style of play.
Babu says, "I'll say it right now. People doubling on Eddie. He's are going to be in for a rude shock. Watch him banging 2 goals on Boxing Day. I hope you're right, bro." Chris Torres says, "If Eddie was the one that got injured instead of Jesus, I'd still be looking for another striker. We're light last season with only 2 available strikers." He's right. Even without the injury, we should have been looking for it. Wiseman says, "Why not Osimhen? Forget about Mudryk and Felix. Get Osimhen." Well, you know, Napoli already said 100 million minimum for them to even then they're saying, you know. Frith, the Viking says, "It's not up to Crystal Palace management if his contract is expiring. Zaha is on fire right now, and he'll go on a free." can he walk away from?
It's not
the end
impossible,
of the season
but I just can't see Palace letting him go. I think they would put every obstacle in his way.
They wouldn't want to let him go, Laurie, but it might make sense for them to let him go rather than he leaves from the... Crystal Palace are not the sort of team in a position to let Zaha walk away for free.
The only way I could see that happening is if Arsenal unsettle him so much that Zaha then agitates to move away from Palace. And I'm not sure if, given how much he means to that club, his sort of iconic status at that club, will he want to jeopardise that? So if he does that normal thing about, you know, that sort of going on strike type of thing and agitating to get away.
Wouldn't need to go on strike.
I think that's what it would take, though, to get him away.
It would just need Arsenal to go in there and say, listen, we want him.
And you think Steve Parish is going to say, okay, how much?
We're prepared to offer him, we'll give you 20 million for him, right?
I think
Zaha would
way
want to
more
come.
than that.
I'm sure Zaha, no, but his contract, he's going to be walked away for nothing. We're talking about Crystal Palace, not Real Madrid. Even Arsenal would probably be thinking to themselves, right now, Cedric looks like he's going to be on his way to Fulham, is it? Fulham that want him, right? That's because Arsenal know that his contract is up.
With respect, I don't think that's a suitable comparison.
I know it's not a comparison of players. At the end of the day, Arsenal know that at the end of the season, Cedric's contract is up. Fulham are coming in thinking to themselves, well, you know what? You can get like a couple million for him, may as well take it. Rather than, you know, so Zaha, £20 million for a player that's going to leave your club in about 5 months' time for free, for a club like Crystal Palace, will be a good amount of money.
What do you mean a club like Crystal Palace? What are you trying to say?
No disrespect to Crystal Palace, they're not rich, they're not rolling in, you know. You
said that in slightly patronising terms.
No, but they're not, come on.
If Kane's watching this, he's going to be on your case.
They're not rolling in money, are they, Crystal Palace?
No, they're not.
They're not a club that can afford to swallow just a 20 million like that, right? If that offer came in.
No, but I think with Palace...
The only thing with the Zaha thing that slightly where I say, all right, is the age. He's 29 now. I'm not sure when he's going to be 30, but he's 29. But what I've seen of that guy down the years, the last few years in the Premier League, if he was playing at Arsenal, all right, I know some people out there might say, yeah, but he plays in the same position as Martinelli. But you could put Martinelli down the middle. You could put this front three, all right, front three, right? The weekend's coming. West Ham, their defenders know that you got Zaha down one wing, Martinelli down the other. But sorry, Martinelli down the middle.
It's not going to happen that quick.
Martinelli down the other. No, I'm just saying hypothetically. And Saka on the other. As a defender, you're like, hey man, I'm in for a hard night. Or Martinelli, Eddie, and Saka, you're looking at it as a bit of an easier. Because Eddie's not in the same league as Zaha. I'd go and get him.
Now listen, everything you said there makes a lot of sense, and there's no doubt about it that Wilfried Zaha would 100% improve Arsenal. Yeah. However, I just don't see Crystal Palace allowing him to leave, and I think you were talking about 6 months, and then he might have to go for free. I think you could use this one. I think that Palace are looking at Zaha as a long-term project, that kind of one-club man, even though we know he did go to United briefly, but that kind of Steven Gerrard type player, where he stays there pretty much for life, and he's an icon there afterwards.
Comes in, you go to Arsenal, you're playing Champions League football, possibly next season, you're playing the Europa League. You're not doing that, you're not even... I think I read somewhere where they said that Zaha's never played in European football. A player of his quality.
No, but he's the king of Palace. That's why he plays at Palace, because he's the king there.
Windsor says, give them Eddie for Zaha.
Actually, you know what? That's feasible.
They did want Eddie at one time as well, remember?
Yeah, they did.
They did want Eddie at one time. Ed says, joke, we tried that with the Aston Villa central midfielder, and we got this big team attitude. Now I think he's talking about Douglas Luiz. Same thing, but he did sign a new deal with Aston Villa. But unless a new deal's been signed, I think they take the money. The Donny Spitting Fact says Nino 1993. Exactly, give them Eddie, says the man gunner.
That suggests to me that you don't really believe in Eddie, you know.
Huh?
the ease in which that rolled off your tongue, that suggests to me as if you don't really believe in Eddie.
Who?
You. Give him Eddie.
No, the jury's still out for me, and I'm going to be honest, right? I like Eddie Nketiah.
Are you not slightly excited?
Now
Are you not slightly excited? I know you're concerned, and we spoke about all that. But on the other hand, let's look at it, the glass half full rather than half empty. Are you not excited that, given Arteta's ability as a coach, which we know he's an excellent coach, that he can get the best out of Eddie over a period of time, and he can get those goals that will allow us to, if not win the title, at least
because, as I said earlier, I mean, when Eddie came in last season, I remember, he did brilliantly. You can't fault him for that, and he does deserve his chance. You know what I mean? I think he deserved a new deal, and he does deserve his chance. But I mean, listen, all will be revealed at the weekend. You know what I mean?
Personally, I don't think we're going to bring in any big names.
There's a lot of pressure on him, man. A lot of pressure.
Personally, I don't see us bringing in any big name striker. I think that the option is going to be Eddie, and I think that scenario that I said to you earlier about goals being shared around the team is probably the most feasible.
John Bamford says no chance. Well, he was shared around very well if Zaha was in there. No chance, he says. Arteta emphasises possession and counter pressing and playing with that system, not Zaha at all. Zaha can press. What about Pepe? Says Michael. We're not going to bring Pepe back.
I think that ship sailed.
He just doesn't suit what Arteta's trying to do. So, C15 Rise says you guys need a target man or a finisher, not another Crestu striker, because once Jesus comes back, you'll have 3 strikers who are all similar. No wonder Arteta didn't want Vlahovic. Well, again.
Would you say Eddie's similar to Jesus, though? I don't think they are.
No, not really.
They may look similar in stature and height and all the rest of it.
What I do love about Eddie is his pressing. Is the way he presses and that his energy is brilliant.
Well, Gabriel Jesus presses hard too.
The thing is that people are going to be looking for goals. It's as simple as that. Martinelli will never play down the middle. Mikel just said he needs to play out wide. I did see Mikel Arteta saying that he prefers him out wide. Yao Felix, Memphis, etc. fit the profile of the false number 9S player I think Mikel wants, and that's from Julian Ness with a super chat. Yao Felix would be perfect, wouldn't he?
He would be great. Will we get him? That's another story.
What do you reckon?
I have to say it's unlikely, but at the end of the day, if they can make it happen, then yeah, I'm all for it. But as I said to you, man, I happen to believe that the manager's going to, unless we can get someone like Yao Felix, he's going to opt to with Eddie, and he's going to try his best to try and find a style of play that will be conducive to Eddie producing his best form. That's the way I think it's going to go. And I also think, as I keep saying, that the emphasis will be let's share the goals around the team.
DJ Ashby says, how are Wolves signing Kuna already? That's the Brazilian.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I was interested to see that.
They're getting that done already.
Yeah. Well, it may be that it may be with that Portuguese influence that they've had their eye on him for a long time. That's what it suggests to me.
Coming straight in, could be ready straight away in January.
That deal has probably been worked on a long time ago, if you ask me.
Yeah, well,
and they got that Brazil. They got that Brazil/Portuguese connection, so that's probably how that's arisen.
What about the Tielemans? You think that?
I still want Tielemans.
January for that?
Yeah, I'd still take Tielemans. I rate him.
But what's the difference between that and the Zaha one? It's the same thing. Contract running out in the summer, isn't it?
Well, he's not a legend at Leicester the way Zaha is at Palace, and I think that Leicester now would let Tielemans go, whereas there's no way I think Steve Parish will allow Zaha to just walk out of Palace like that.
David Keefe says, hi Robbie, we have to be realistic. We will not win the league. Can you honestly see Eddie doing well? He goes, get Zaha. Ram says, Ivan Toney.
Myself and Turkish, shout out to Turkish.
Might be very cheap right now.
We were talking about that, but I think given what's happened with Ivan Toney over the last year, it looks like he could be getting quite a lengthy ban. So that would be defeat the purpose, wouldn't it?
Paul here makes a great point. Marcus Thuram has 6 months left on his current contract. He can play anywhere in the front three. That's true. Only He's another option.
I must admit, I watched him closely when he came on for France in the World Cup. I was impressed. He made an impact every single time. I'm not sure how prolific he is. Exactly, yeah. So this is what I'm saying, man. Like, it's, you look at these guys and they're all good players. Don't get me wrong. All those guys, all those aforementioned names that you mentioned, they're all good players. But are they prolific enough? Even Vlahovic, who had that great reputation, you've seen he's gone to Juve. He's not looked the same guy. So it's always a risk with these guys, isn't it? Especially strikers, because with a striker, the measuring stick is goals, you know what I mean? And if they don't score, I mean, even Gabriel Jesus, like I said, there was lots of murmurs before the injury saying, look, the goals have dried up. It's such a pressurised position. There's only one or two strikers of, you know, Erling Haaland and Mbappe and them type of guys. You know what I mean? Everybody else is, you know, there or thereabouts, but they're not prolific goal scorers.
Abidin says, what about the Blackburn striker? I think he's on about Brereton Diaz, Chile international.
It's a long shot.
Could he make
it's a long shot, yeah, it's a long shot, man.
I think he's only got 6 months left as well.
Yeah.
On his contract.
I've been hearing about him for a while. People say a lot of good things about him, but to be fair, it's a different level now, isn't it?
Yeah,
we're talking.
Yeah, but then Ivan Toney stepped up. We've seen Mitrovic come from the championship.
I did mention Mitrovic earlier, actually.
Jack Phillips here with a vote for Farney's shout of El Nesri. Would be a great shout. So he's backing you, Farney. Love to see El Nesri.
Actually, talking to Mitrovic, I would say there's more of a chance of Mitrovic leaving Fulham than there is Zaha leaving Palace.
No, he wouldn't leave Fulham because he's on a long-term contract.
Oh, okay.
So Vlahovic would be bringing in the goals for sure, says Jux T.
Well, he's not banging them in for Juve right now, is he? So nothing's a given. And that's what makes this whole thing so intriguing, you know what I mean? Because how do we know that Eddie, listen, Eddie, as people are saying, yeah, but so far he's only got one goal or this and that, whatever. But to be fair to the guy, he's been coming off the bench in those games. It's a different dynamic if he knows that he's going to get a run of games as the top striker. Different dynamic.
Rice says Newcastle have contacted Thuram's agent about a pre-contract 6 months agreement, and then he goes on to say Eddie is England under 21 all-time goal scorer.
Yes.
Put some respect on his name.
Well, yeah, I would second that. But like I said, let me just emphasise that point as I was making briefly there, is that yes, Eddie has not been prolific up till now. He's only got a couple of goals this season. However, we have to balance it up and say in those games he's been largely coming off the bench, hardly started. If you have a situation whereby the manager has said to him, you are my number one striker, you go out there, do your thing, I'll back you, you will, you know what I mean, unless you really dip in form, I can guarantee you a run. That's probably going to make a huge difference to his confidence.
Okay. We've got 5 minutes to go, right? I want to ask people, come on, give me some names now. Who do you want to see come in the January transfer window? If you can make one, if we could only make one signing.
And don't say Messi.
Who would you want that to be? For you, start. One signing you can make in January. That's realistic, by the way. Yeah, you said don't say Messi, right? One realistic signing, who would it be?
Probably on balance, João Felix. If that's remotely possible, I'm not sure if it would be, but that is a name that caught my eye.
Hurry up, Harry G agrees with you. He says Felix. Mohammed says Rafa Leao.
Oh, the Portuguese guy. I like the look of him, man.
Yeah, he'd be very expensive.
Yeah.
Arsenal, and I don't think AC Milan would sell him in January. Patrick Schick says Arsenal. Aubameyang says.
I think that ship sailed. I think that ship sailed.
Roshan says Ronaldo.
Nothing personal, but I think that ship sailed.
Ronaldo, he says. Frank Kessie says Anthony 1993. Apparently, he's not very happy at the moment since he's moved to Barcelona. Leroy Sani says Premsy TV. Big up Premsy. Premsy says Leroy, that's another shot, isn't he?
Yeah. Not an out-and-out striker though, is he?
They've been talking about him possibly in the summer. Memphis Depay says Fav.
I like the look of Depay.
Felix, another one for Felix from Hurry Up Harry G. Nkunku, yeah, that's gone. He signed for Chelsea. Man Like Matt says Cody Gakpo.
I like him as well.
Would you get him?
Yeah, I would. I like Gakpo.
Liverpool Sound says Thuram. Zaha says Hassan. Mudryk says Revolutional. Another on there, Andy Fortner. Gakpo. Osimhen says Robert Cruz. I said keep it realistic. Memphis Depay. Francesco. Choupo-Moting says AFTVC. Hey, you might laugh at that, but we've scored quite a few goals recently, Choupo-Moting.
Yeah, yes.
Ronaldo would win us the league, says Jake. Ronaldo.
That's not going to happen, but, I thought I'd throw that out there anyway.
James Turner, Fernan Torres. The Welsh striker says Abubakar. Who's that? What's the name at Bournemouth? No chance, man. What's his name again?
Kiefer Moore.
Kiefer Moore. Yeah. Nah. Decent target, man, to be fair. Yeah. Bellingham, I said keep it realistic. Mohamed Kudus.
Good player.
Good player, looked very good.
Very talented.
In the World Cup,
Very
really
talented.
did. Couple more for me to do here. Boufal says go get her now.
Nah.
Although he did do very well in the World Cup.
He did.
He's been in the Premier League before. He didn't really work
He's
out.
at Southampton.
Rizzo says Fernando Ferran Torres. Sorry, not Fernando Torres. Ferran Torres.
The one that was at City.
Yep, we've been getting heavily linked with him. He's at Barca now. Sign Curtis Shaw, says Champ. He's well past it. Amrabat says Yama. You was singing
I'm a fan of Amrabat.
We was having a meeting earlier. You was singing
his
praises of Amrabat. You like him, innit?
He's not quite going to get us the goals we want, but he'd prevent goals.
The rocking midfielder.
He's a general, man. He's a general.
Yeah. Abubakar. By the way, he scored a great goal. I was at that game against Brazil.
The lob.
No, the header. Remember the
Oh,
header
right,
he scored?
yeah. But didn't he score the lob as well when he flicked it over?
I don't remember the lob, but that header he scored was brilliant. And he took his shirt off and got sent off.
Yeah.
Typical Abubakar, So, Milinkovic Savic says Ndimpa. Obi-Wan says Thuram. Yao Felix, Lewis Scott. Mitrovic
I think in
says
terms of
Haida.
strikers, I would go for João Felix. I'd take Gakpo and I'd take Depay. So those would be my three. This Mudryk guy, I don't know too much about him. I'm hearing a lot of good things. Not an out-and-out striker.
No,
but,
it's not an wide player again. Another wide player. Luchara Martinez, World Cup winner, says Nurso. Didn't look too sharply,
not overly impressed.
But remember, we was after him. We was gonna pay about 17. I still think he's a good player,
Well, this is what I was saying earlier. When it comes to players of that ilk, we're all in the same market, aren't they? All the clubs are in the same market for the same types of players. And such is the scouting network that I get all of these players all get discussed by pretty much all the top teams across Europe, not just in this country.
Bayo says Gonçalo Ramos, who scored a hat-trick, of course, for Portugal. There's a lot of shouts going in for Memphis Depay.
I'll take
Fabian
Depay.
says McAllister of Brighton. Carl Martin says Serge Gnabry. And let me do the last one. See if I can find a sensible one, because there's a lot of these joke ones here, like Origi and things like that. Zanillo and Memphis Depay again. A lot for Memphis Depay.
I would, but I mean, look, you
Depay.
said yourself earlier about the importance of somebody being Premier League battle tested and ready.
Yep.
And he's been in the Premier League, and if you look at his physicality, he's got the type of physique and stature that would suit Premier League football.
He's not prolific goal
He's
scorer
not prolific,
right?
but then, he's a better player since he was at Man United. I think it's fair to say he's matured, both on and off the pitch. And
plays well for the Netherlands, but hasn't really lit it up at Barca either, has he?
No, he hasn't. But then Barca have had their problems as well. So.
Yeah. Anyway, listen, we've reached the end of the show today. The hour has just flown past. Laurie, great to have you back, man. Great to
be back, and thanks to everybody out there, all the people that wish me so well. Yeah, I really do appreciate it.
It's great to be back. It's great to be back in the studio, back from Qatar, switching weather. But it's great to be back, and I'm really looking forward to the game on Boxing Day. Don't forget to check out all of the excellent content here on AFTV. We got Box to Box preview coming up with Turkish, where we're going to be looking at the game with West Ham fan from West Ham Fan TV, reviewing that game. You don't want to miss that. I'm going to be doing a review of the game as well outside the Emirates. So me and James, so make sure you check that out and learn. Invincible podcast is going to be out tomorrow with Lee Judges. I'm sure he's going to have a lot to say on the game against West Ham and Brighton that we've got coming up as well. So listen, lots and lots of content to come. We're back into the full swing of it. We're back into the Premier League, so looking forward to it. Also want to big up my friend Fani, who's in the studio as well today. It's really nice of you to join us. Met him over in Qatar. The guys looked after me so well, so really grateful for that. Good to see you here with us here in the studio as well. Been fantastic. So we'll be back tomorrow. Don't forget, with another evening show. I think the Turkish Nazi. Cecil's back as well.
Oh, Cecil, yeah.
This guy's been seeing him out.
I call him Salt Bay Cecil.
Well, he was in Argentina, he was in Brazil,
popping up.
He was in America, he was in Costa Rica, he went everywhere.
He's popping up.
Make sure you bring back some money for us, Cecil. You know, I mean, this guy, he went all over the world, but he'll have some great stories because he's with the Argentinian fans in Buenos Aires.
I'm surprised he went on the pitch afterwards with the World Cup. Salt Bay Cecil.
He probably got that robe on him, knowing him,
Yeah.
Cecil. So Cecil should be back tomorrow. So looking forward to that one. And James back on Friday as well.
Big up,
so
big up.
Lots
big
of
up
great
Cecil,
content to come. Merry Christmas going out to everyone, and we'll see you again tomorrow.